to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
The benefits of IELTS. Hello there, IELTS students. In this tutorial, Daphne and myself will be going through the benefits of IELTS. You're probably familiar with them already if you are taking the IELTS, and I guess if you're struggling with this exam and you've maybe failed it a few times, you'll probably need this as a reminder maybe that there are some benefits. And also later in the tutorial, I will share some unexpected benefits that you probably might be unaware that you are going to get from going through this whole process. So, how are you doing today, Daphne?
Oh, hi, Ben. I'm fine. Hi, everybody. Been working really hard, doing a lot of corrections at the moment, actually.
That's great.
Yeah, things are really busy. A lot of people getting involved in the speaking correction practice service we're doing at the moment. So we're kind of doing writing and doing some really focused speaking. So it's fun.
Yeah, and how did you get into doing the corrections? Were you doing corrections before you started working with us?
Yeah, I've always taught IELTS. Originally I just did general English, but then I specialised in IELTS. When I did my diploma, my dissertation was all about an IELTS, designed an IELTS course. So that really got me working. It was particularly to do with writing. I just became incredibly aware of how difficult it is to get this writing section to the standard it needs to be. And I think writing's where most people struggle. So I just kind of got more and more interested in it, wanted to really learn about it myself in order to just help people, because I know it's so hard.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I remember when I was starting out teaching this, I was in Spain and my students were coming to me, and I was like yourself, like a general English tutor at the time, but I'd been basically thrown into started to teaching IELTS, and I was getting all these questions, so I was asking other tutors, and this is basically what led me to IELTS podcast, because I was asking other tutors and getting different advice, and I was like, actually, there's probably other teachers in my situation, and I want to talk to other teachers who have gone through this and who have learned and who are teaching IELTS. So that's how I started IELTS podcast, because I started recording these interviews with experts, with speaking experts, linguistic experts, academic writing experts, ex-IELTS examiners, and collecting all this advice, publishing it as a podcast, and then from that I started choosing and testing which advice worked, and after writing hundreds of task 2 essays, I finally got a system together, and that's how basically I made the course. First it was a PDF,
Brilliant.
and then it got into an online course.
I really like your idea. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Sorry,
No
but
worries.
I love your idea about learning from starting by interviewing your teachers, interviewing your colleagues. I thought it's really interesting just to learn from people what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. Some of them, though, they were just winging it. And I could tell there was this one guy called, I shouldn't say his name, I'll say a different name. James.
Don't say his name.
But he was ex-military, and I thought, wow, I was really looking up to him. And I was like, and this is going to be, direct, he's going to be like efficient, he's going to be this really cool teacher. And his philosophy was, okay, I'll give him an IELTS writing task 2 question, and I'm going to set it for a 25-minute limit. And I was like, why? And he's like, well, if they can do it with 25 minutes, then in the exam, when it's 40 minutes, it's going to be easy. And I was like,
oh, no.
That's not really how it works. So there were quite a few hiccups along the way, but eventually I started finding out, filtering who was a good tutor, who were the best tutors, and then inviting those ones onto the IELTS podcast to get their advice and share it.
Brilliant. Such a good thing to do. And now, as you say, with the course and the essay feedback service, the feedback is what's helping people, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the course where you learn the exam skills, and then the feedback service is where a lot of improvement happens with your language skills. And a lot of students, until they've got these two separated, it can be terribly frustrating and often sometimes even depressing, because they just don't know why they keep failing. So what we try to do in the course is separate it out with the exam skills and the language skills. The exam skills, we usually try and we put those in the tutorials, and then the language skills, even though those are in the tutorials, that's what we consider mainly the teacher's job, and picking out the grammar mistakes, the vocabulary mistakes, and also advising on the exam skills that have been learnt in the course. But by combining them both, that's how we can get the fastest improvement and the biggest results for students.
Exactly, absolutely right. And it's personalised then, isn't it? So I think that's a really strong point to make. It's not just here's your essay, well done. It's really personalised to the kind of errors that each student makes, or sometimes you're not even aware you're making.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think this way is so much more effective than being sat in a room with 10 other students, if you're lucky, and the teacher's there talking about, paragraph structure. They don't have time to sort of just solely focus on your work. Or if they do, you're not there at the time. Whereas our corrections, we really are sort of talking you through your work. And by the way, just as a side note, if you message us, if you email us, we can give you a special offer on the essay correction, but that's only available for students who actually email in, because those are the ones who are usually in the most pain. Otherwise, if you're not struggling that much, then you can go to the website and just see the essay correction service we offer and the online courses. But if you are struggling and having a tough time, then email us and we can sort something out for you.
That's nice. Good.
All right, so what are the benefits of IELTS? That's the main tutorial today. But first, we're going to look at what is the main purpose of IELTS.
Right. So IELTS, does anyone even know what IELTS stands for?
I have no idea.
It is the International English Language Testing System, and it is the world's leading test to assess language skills, providing reliable evidence of such skills for three main things: studying at a higher education institution, so like a university, or for a postgrad, or for a master's even, where English is the first language of communication, to obtain a visa to study or work in an English-speaking country, or to obtain a visa to take up residency in a different country. So it could be Canada, could be Australia, the UK.
And if you listen to our success stories, you're going to find stories of students who've taken these different routes. For example, Laura from Colombia, she got a 7.5, and she also, while she was in the UK, she also picked up the lovely London accent.
Yes, I remember your interview with her was so funny. She's a real character.
Yeah. She really, she wasn't talking Cockney, but she was talking like South England, and I thought it was really refined. And she got her 7.5, so now she's going to start work in the UK. And as we were saying on other tutorials, it took her 8 attempts. That's a lot of investment. That's a lot of cash, especially living in London as well. But and also Vinod, he was in Canada a few months ago. He's still there, but a few months ago he got an amazing 8.5 in the reading, and in that tutorial he shares exactly how he did it and his struggles and how he solved his issues with task 2. So basically the purpose of IELTS, as Daphne was saying, is higher education to work in an English-speaking country, or to take up residence in those countries. With the IELTS, as you probably know, we've got academic and we've got general training, and we've got the recent life skills one. The life skills test is basically at A2, B1 levels, and these are part of the UK Secure English Language Test Scheme.
Yeah,
And
it's a little bit different, that, isn't it? It's more like for families and things. That wouldn't help you on university or anything, would it, Ben?
no, not at all. And it's interesting that it says it's for round about A2 B1 level,
Yeah.
which is lower intermediate, which is basically, this is one reason why the IELTS was invented, was to do away with these ambiguous terms of upper advanced, lower intermediate, and all of this, because each person has a different interpretation of this. Whereas if you got the test, it's crystal clear you're at a 6, a 7, a 8, or a 9. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that A2 and B1 refer to the CEFR, which is basically the Common European Framework.
Yeah,
for,
absolutely. Well done. Yep.
I had to think about that. For languages, and this is a long story, but I'll cut it very, very briefly. But this framework was developed in part with Cambridge University, Cambridge Language Division, and they're the ones who also have their own dictionaries. They're one of the oldest publishers in the world of the English dictionary. In fact, it might even be the first. If it's not the first, it's definitely the second or the third. And anyway, with the modern dictionaries, and you can see this online, next to vocabulary, they put this is A2 level, or next to grammar terms or key phrases, keywords, sorry, they put this is A2 level, B1 level, B2 level, C1 level, C2 level, and C2 equates to band 9, roughly.
It's proficiency. I mean, beyond. Yeah.
Exactly. So in the C2 template, which we've got in the IELTS, in our IELTS writing course, sentence guide course, there's a template there that we have that helps students construct their essay, and it's all full of C2 phrases.
Yeah.
So using those phrases accurately, I must put that accurately, using these phrases accurately is going to put you on the way to a high scoring essay.
Absolutely. I can't, Ben's completely right. It's really important. This whole getting the right grade is it's a very fine balance, and it's extremely difficult to get your band 7 and above. So the more work you do, the more understanding you have of the language and which words are really important and will score you points, the better.
Exactly. This is why we strongly recommend to the students to have a look at the official criteria. You need to know what you're up against and what specific areas you might need to improve, or what basically you need to know what the examiner is looking for. So do this for all parts, especially the writing and the speaking, especially those parts. So moving on, the life skills is on a pass or fail basis. So there's no grading score there, whereas as we know, academic and GEAT and general is basically from 0 to 9. I've never heard of a student getting 0 though.
Because that made me laugh actually when you said that. Because I mean, 0, don't take IELTS. Yeah, that's like writing your name and then going away.
Exactly.
Yeah. Equally, actually, just as an aside, I've had many B1. I mean, as we all know, B1 intermediate is the biggest level. Everyone thinks they're intermediate. But it covers a huge range of abilities. But I've had a lot of students before who've tried to attempt IELTS at B1 intermediate level, and it is just not worth it. I mean, you may get a 4.5, but no one's really, 4.5 is not really enough proof of anything to make your IELTS exam useful. It's not going to be a benefit at that level to try this exam.
Absolutely, yeah. Save your money, invest it in your own education, and then do some mock tests, get some feedback, and then
prepare your general English.
Exactly, and then once you're up around a 6 maybe from the feedback, then either take the test or just figure out exactly, pinpoint what needs to be worked on in order to get the 7. So that's why getting feedback will speed up this whole process.
Yeah, that's so true.
Okay, so moving on, it's important to mention that the countries that do accept IELTS, and this is increasing, there's Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and in the last 5 years, America. They've really made a push into the US market. So the US, a lot of universities there are now accepting IELTS, but each immigration authority and each university will all have their own criteria. So
always check.
You need to go to IELTS.org, and then on that site, the official site, you're going to find out who accepts what band score. And definitely research that, or get your immigration agent onto it. Hopefully they are doing. And as we said in previous tutorials, now with COVID, it's all moving. So even though you might have started your preparation last year and you think you need this grade, the goalposts may have moved because of basically the world's upside down with COVID. All right. So what does let's get into the rapid fire round of what the benefits of IELTS. So could you start us off there, Daphne?
Okay, so you've decided to do your exam, you're going to go for it, you're super motivated. This is why you are motivated, why you want. IELTS is internationally recognized by thousands of institutions worldwide. It is the biggest. This includes not only educational institutions, but companies, professional bodies, government agencies. That is not the same as your average exam.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason why it's accepted, why it's so widespread, is because it's a very authentic and rigorous and tried and tested procedure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so general training IELTS will allow you will prove that you've got the language requirements for immigration purposes, and obviously this will help you find employment. And it's also worth mentioning that your score is valid for 2 years. And I'll just mention as well that with the recent COVID pandemic, that, as I just said, basically that the goalposts are changing. So some authorities I know are extending the validity of that 2 years. So if even though IELTS.org says it's valid for 2 years, some authorities and some institutions will accept your grade if you did it 2.5 years ago, for example.
That's so good. I mean, that just does show a bit of flexibility in the system, which is what you want. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, as we always say before, Ben, as well, don't we? Plan this whole thing. It may take you a bit of time to get your exam. You don't want to be doing it in the last minute with a deadline looming. I mean, not zooming. Sorry, deadline looming. You want to kind of plan your whole IELTS campaign almost, don't you?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. This is why, actually, it's a good point you mentioned that. But we've recently updated the online course, and now we've included a schedule planner, because we found that the students who were successful were the ones who are usually planning a lot. So we decided to help our students plan. So we've put a schedule in there where you can basically download the Excel doc, and so on Monday you're going to do task 2 writing exercises, and on a Friday afternoon you're going to review your essay, and so on and so forth. So we're just making it that little bit easier for you, and good planning.
I think it's so helpful because the successful candidates we've all spoken to, Ben, they really have had a strategy on how to do this. I'm going to do this on this day, this on this day, and really try to stick to it. Obviously, you can't sometimes because life gets in the way, work gets in the way, but at least if you timetable it, you have technically got space in your week, and this is how to succeed.
Exactly. Plan your work and work your plan, as we say in the UK.
Nice one. Yeah.
I think I got that from a friend who was working in a supermarket. But anyway, so another good thing with IELTS is that it gives you sort of like an irrefutable, objective, as we were saying before, it gives you this irrefutable, objective-based grading system. So, when employers are no longer guessing what your interpretation is of advanced level, they know, okay, Band 6, Band 7, Band 8, Band 9. And this, in turn, will open the doors, because now there's no doubt that you've got the English skills that you say you have. And I think this is one reason why IELTS has been so successfully globally, because they got the employers can check the candidates' IELTS scores online, and they can be certain, they've got this certainty that the student is authentically a band 7 or a band 9 without having to rely on certificates. They can check the database.
Exactly. And as you're preparing for IELTS, I mean, you all know you have to build a wide range of skills, and not only in your writing, but in your listening techniques, your reading techniques, your speaking competency, all these amazing skills you're learning. The examiner, by proving, okay, I've got band 7, the potential employer is going to know, okay, this guy is great at writing, as well. It's not just you can speak nicely, it's the fact that you can also write as well. So there's a whole assessment of all your skills wrapped up in one number, I suppose, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And if you are going through our writing course, we've got modules where we talk, which even native English speakers would benefit from doing our course, because we talk about academic writing, we talk about writing clearer, we're putting the most important part of the sentence at the beginning. All of these writing elements we include in our course, and you can take these with you beyond IELTS. So if you're writing a company email, you can use the same principles of like organizing your communication. And likewise, if you're making small talk at work, these small little trips, I don't like saying it, but these small little tricks and tips that we teach in the IELTS Speaking Confidence course, they spill over into everyday spoken English as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you can get an edge even on your English speaking colleagues in speaking and writing like this, because a lot of English speakers may have done it at school a long time ago, but completely forgotten how to write in this formal style. So you'll be very fresh on that, which is great.
Exactly. When I review employment applications from teachers or from workers who want to work in operations in our IELTS podcast, I can immediately see who knows how to write and who doesn't. I can see if the paragraph is crisp, if it's direct, if it's straightforward and it's clear. And like, okay, this person knows how to write. But if it's just a mumbled, horrible block of long sentences, then they're not even...
It's off-putting, isn't it?
Exactly,
yeah.
That's the right word. Exactly. Okay, so moving on to the next section. What's a good score, Daphne?
Well, okay. A good score, I mean, I'm not even going to go on a band 9, Ben. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have never had a student who has got a band 9. I think our colleague Ellen, I think she might have had a couple, but a band 9 is super rare. A band 8 is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. 8.5, fantastic. You are a seriously good at all these skills we were talking about in English. Obviously, band 7 is the kind of gold score that everybody's after. And for a university, you would need probably a 7 for a very highly regarded university. Most often, I think actually a 6 or a 6.5 is okay, because sometimes it's a foundation course, so you'll be studying some English anyway when you get there. So then it is more just of a general indicator. What do you think?
Well, I remember quite a while ago, I was teaching a doctor who's an Indian doctor living in London, had been living there for quite a while, and he started the course and he was unfamiliar with academic writing, but he quickly picked it up. Incredibly intelligent guy, and I loved reading his work because there's a little flair to it, but it needed to be sort of like toned down a bit and made a bit more academic. But by halfway through the course, I couldn't teach him anything else, because I was just reading and I was like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. I really don't know what to say. I can't really...
You feel like a fraud.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. You did this well, you did this well. I can't really give you any more advice. You're doing it fantastic. And I really did feel like, what am I delivering here? But afterwards, I kind of realized it was probably reassurance. But that student, he went on to get a band 9.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased it actually exists. It's not mythical.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic. I love that story. Great.
And well, actually, he got banned 8.5. I think it was VNOD. Just a few months ago, he
Oh,
got banned
yeah.
8.5 in the reading, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
yes.
But if you listen to that episode, he's got a really thorough system for he attacked it in a very thorough, systematic way, and that's how he managed to improve his grade to get an 8.5.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think having a system, as you say, really, really helps. And that determination. And also, as you say, a lot of the medical students who are, incredibly intelligent can just adapt their style so much more easily than some people. That's a huge advantage if you can do that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think as well, I'll just mention that even native English speakers struggle with this exam. So if you're finding it difficult, then even somebody who's been using English all their life, even they struggle. So just put it in perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not a quick aside. With one of my colleagues the other day, we were saying, okay, come on, we'll write this essay, and then the students, you can feedback and correct on our essay. And it took me a lot longer than 40 minutes to get something that I was happy with. It was a good test.
Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, when I started out, I was struggling. This is why I was writing hundreds, and I was writing close to 100 essays, because I just wanted to get it down into a system that I could reliably use and follow, and that other students could follow this system and basically follow these steps, and you'll produce a solid academic essay. But you're right, in 40 minutes it is horrendous, especially if you've never done it before. It really is frightening.
Yeah.
All right, so
I agree. Yeah.
IELTS indicator. We'll just mention a few more points and then we're finishing. We've got the IELTS indicator test. This came out around March 2020 because of COVID. If you want to hear a student's perspective on that, we did an interview with Maria. She did exceptionally well in this exam. I think she ended up jumping to band 7. She was a real inspiration, and she goes into it more detail from a student's perspective, which I think is definitely useful.
Absolutely. She was brilliant, wasn't she? She'd researched it. She knew exactly what she was going to do. She knew it's an exam which you can take at home. But so she was ready. She was at home. She had her internet connection. The speaking is on Zoom, so a couple of days later. But she was really sorted, and it paid off. So now she's off to study, isn't she?
Exactly. And as Daphne said, just make sure, do your research, check that your institution will accept it, and even if they don't put it on there, you can at least suggest it, because as we said in previous tutorials, it's a crazy place now, and everything's changing. Sometimes some institutions are desperate for international students. Migration authorities have targets to meet, and they probably couldn't meet them because of the borders being closed. So everything is up for grabs, so to speak. It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. You've got nothing to lose by trying.
Be proactive.
Exactly. So, devil's advocate here, but can the IELTS test be retaken?
Oh, I really hope you don't have to retake it, anybody. But people do retake in terms of trying to get what they want. A lot of people, as Ben said before, are coming to us. They've already taken it a number of times, and they're going, I really, really need something different here. I really, really need some help. Yes, you can retake it, sadly, as many times as you want, but it gets jolly expensive.
Exactly.
And sometimes people... The other thing I think is really hard is that it's not like you can bank a score. So you might get 7 in writing one time, and you might get less than you need in speaking. You can't keep that 7 and then retake the rest. You have to retake the whole test. So we've had students before, haven't we, Ben, who've got a 7 in writing, then a 6.5 in writing, and then even a 6, then going back up to a 7. the variation is really, I think, makes it extra hard, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And what you were saying before, it gets not only financially expensive, but emotionally expensive.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster because and it's a frustrating roller coaster that's not like thrilling, and it's no adrenaline. It's just stress, depression, and frustration, and especially frustration because you've got this goal to get to Canada, PR, or you want to get to this university. You need to get to this university, and it's incredibly frustrating because you've got IELTS, this one obstacle. And I think the important thing is just to not let yourself get down or be brought down. Remember that it's just this one test, and I think if you invest in yourself, you can save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of emotional stress, and you'll definitely improve your mental health. The less tests you have to take, obviously the health, and it's not just your mental health, but it's like all the time. You have to get time off work. You've got to go and commute to the test center. You've got to sit down and you've got to organize your preparation for the next 3 weeks and then do it all again if you don't get your grades right. So this is why I strongly recommend investing in yourself.
Yes.
Seek professional help. I mean, as I said before, if you email us, we can tell you about the special essay corrections we do for students who are in pain, who are really struggling with this, and it's just worth investing in yourself and taking the time to prepare and passing it first time. And as Daphne said, a lot of students, they'll try a languages centre, they'll try a different online course, and then eventually, rather frustrating for me, they end up with us and then they pass first time with us, but after they've exhausted all the other options, which is for me terribly frustrating. I was trying to solve this, but I go into this in much more detail in a tutorial called IELTS Casino, where I talk with Wian, and I think she did about 5 exams, maybe more, but we talk about how she was just taking test after test after test, in each test losing more money and losing more confidence. But
so depressing.
Yeah, but she had in the back of her mind, she was like, okay, just one more test and maybe I'll get it right this time. And as I said before, I was in exactly the same position with my driving test. I failed, and for some reason I was just like, okay, let's get right back into it and I'll do the test and maybe I'll get it right this time. And I must have taken, I don't want to mention, but I took a lot of driving tests.
Ben, no, don't get me started on that. No. One of my children did her driving test 5 times.
Oh, wow.
The problem was, I mean, it's very relatable, not practicing in between. So just booking another test immediately.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like failing an exam and booking another one. You've got to prepare. You've got to work out what went wrong, work on that, get your confidence back up, then go again. And that is a much, much better route to take.
Exactly, yeah. But 5 times is nothing for what I took it. And this is why I can relate so much to this IELTS Casino phenomenon. This is why it breaks my heart when I see students say, I've taken the test 10 times, I've taken the test 8 times. It's like, no, don't make the same mistake I did. The best way is to pause, invest in yourself, give yourself time, give yourself space, and then fully focus on this for a good month or so, and then consider taking the test again. So moving on, IELTS validity. It's valid for 2 years, but as we were saying, with the world upside down at the moment due to Corona, this is sort of like different authorities, different institutions are taking a slightly more sort of like flexible approach. And I read online that for example, in the case of the Australian skilled migration applications, since 2018, the validity, or they'll accept an IELTS certificate which is up to 3 years old. So
that would make a huge difference to so many people, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's not just the time of going to the test centre and sitting down and doing the exam. There's a lot riding on it, so you can't say, I'm just going to book a test and go for it. No, you've got to put in all the preparation that you did the last time. You've got to go through the whole process. It's not just test day, it's the whole preparation process. So this is why moving fast is essential.
Yeah, give yourself time. But if, as Ben says, there's a little window of opportunity and some of these immigration centres are being a bit more flexible, then definitely research that and definitely make the most of it if you possibly can.
Exactly, yeah. Get on to your immigration agent, or
Yes.
as Vinod told us, he was doing it all himself and he was just on the ball, and he realised that there's a window of opportunity. He realised that the borders were shut and there's no new immigrants coming in. The authorities have got to hit their targets, so he was moving really fast. And yeah, as I said, go back into IELTS podcast or go to search Google and put IELTS podcast Vinod Canadian immigration, and you'll find his full story. And I think it's really inspirational. And if you're in a similar situation, have a look through those past episodes of successful students. Really inspiring stuff.
This is motivating, isn't it? It's really lovely. I always, if someone tells me, yeah, I passed, they go, well, hopefully Ben will give you a call. And they get a bit nervous about talking to you, Ben, I think. But then everyone wants to share their tips and their success story, and the relief of finally passing this exam. You can just hear it in their voice. It's lovely.
Absolutely. The relief, the key word there, because there's some interviews, like especially the first ones, is the first thing they want to say is like, I got band 7, like after 2 minutes. So now I have to brief the students to say, okay, wait until I ask you, until you share your results, because that way it's just more interesting, because
you're much more exactly.
There's a story there. Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of this tutorial. As I said, if you are struggling, reach out to us, go to our website and send us an email. You can do it IELTSPodcast@gmail.com or Ben@IELTSPodcast.com. Send us an email, tell us your situation, and we can see if we can help you. Also, remember to sign up at IELTSPodcast.com. Sign up to the our email list, and we'll send you a big PDF of IELTS materials and special offers. And most importantly, just remember to keep moving forward. You're only it's only a fail if you stop trying. So just keep moving forward and make the best of the current situation with this whole COVID pandemic.
Absolutely. We're here. We're motivated. We're really our whole thing is about helping you succeed. So please take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Okay. Good luck and all the best.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.